Hi, in this video I'm going to talk about how I tune the bass using harmonics in this area of the neck and as far as referring to this as a position in the Rabath system, this would be called second position. In the Simandl fingerboard numbering system, this would be referred to as fourth position. So if you're learning through the progressive repertoire books, this would be called second position. So the reason why we tune here is there is some harmonics that are very useful for tuning the bass. It brings the pitches of the strings up to a frequency that's easy for us to hear if it's in tune or not. So alright. So this is placing my fourth finger, which is my pinky, and my index finger, which is my first finger, on two adjacent strings. So for example, if I wanted to tune my G string and my D string together, I would play my fourth finger on the higher string, which is the G string in this case, my first finger on the lower string. So, I'm just touching those fingers on those strings to sound the harmonic. So if I place my fourth finger over the D on the G string, it sounds a D harmonic, which is 2 octaves above the open D string, right? And if I place my fourth finger or my first finger over the D string in the same position, my fingers are a whole step apart. That also sounds a D. This finger is over the G on the D string. So with your first finger and your fourth finger being a whole step apart, but on two different strings, you can play the same sounding harmonic pitch. That's very handy if you want to tune those two strings to be a perfect fourth in tune with each other. I can do the same relationship on the other strings. So if I put my fourth finger on the D string, I get an A. I also get an A if I put my first finger on the A string in that same position. Whole step apart, like I said before. Same thing on the A string and the E string. Fourth finger on the A string gets an E harmonic. First finger on the E string there gets an E harmonic. So we have our D harmonics, our A harmonics, and our E harmonic. And with those harmonic pairs, we can tune all our strings. So how do we get the first string in tune? Well, traditionally people tune to an A440 or a 441 or 442, depending on preference of the orchestra you're playing in or whatever it is. But usually we tune to a pitch of an A first. And so if you're in an orchestra and the oboe plays an A, or the first violinist plays an A, it's usually going to be about an A440 range. So we tune our D string first. I think the reason for that is because it keeps everything kind of in the range. It's like expanding the tuning out from this kind of central point rather than trying to tune from low to high or vice versa. So we're going to tune the A harmonic on the D string first, but we need a reference pitch. To get my reference pitch, I can use a number of different methods. One could be a tuning fork, which you get vibrating. You can listen closely to your ear to get the reference pitch in your head before you tune your instrument. If you have a piano handy, or you're going to be playing with someone performing on that piano, then you might want to push the A4 key on that piano, which is the A, below middle C. To get your tuning reference pitch, which you would compare to the A harmonic on your D string with your fourth finger. Sometimes it's just convenient for me to get my tuning app on my phone and either visually tune that A on the app to get my reference, my starting string that's in the tune, or you can play the drone if the app has that, or your tuner has that as your reference pitch. So you can have my A440 sounding right here. I'm going to go ahead and tune the A harmonic on my D string to that pitch. Sounds like it might be a little flat, so I'm going to adjust that. Notice how I bow the string to get the harmonic to keep ringing. Because if your harmonic, if you dampen it, then you don't really have much opportunity to hear if it's in tune with your reference pitch. So a nice fast bow stroke gets the harmonic to ring quite nicely. So I can hear it and see if it's in tune. As it's ringing, I can tune my peg a little bit. Sounds like it's getting pretty close to me. Alright, so once I'm pretty satisfied, I'll turn that off. Now I have one string in tune, so I can tune my other strings. So I'm going to start with the string that also has an A harmonic, which is A. I'm going to play the string that's in tune first to get that correct pitch in my head before I play the string that I'm tuning. If you do opposite, then you kind of get yourself mixed up. It doesn't work as well. So I just tuned the D string, so I'm playing the A and the D string first. I'm listening for any difference in pitch. They're pretty close, but it sounds like my A string's a little more flat than the D string. So I'm going to tune it up a little bit. Small turns. I sometimes do bar my fingers across these harmonics because they sound like a nice perfect fourth. Then I know I got it pretty good. I have them both ringing with my fast bow stroke so I can kind of hear. Right now I can move on to tuning either the G string or the E string. I'll go to the E string for now. So I'm going to play my string I just tuned, which is A, that's in tune, and my E string. The E string sounds a little more flat than the A string to me. Just small turns. Alright. Maybe a little bit more. Now if you were to overshoot, like let's see if I go too high. That's starting to sound a little more sharp than what I wanted. You could just tune it back down, maybe pull out a little bit of slack. And if you go below again, you can just slowly tune it back up. That's sounding pretty close. Alright, now the G string. So which string did I already have in tune? The D string, right? So I play that first. I play with first finger the D harmonic on the G string, which I match to the D harmonic on the G string with fourth finger. I think I overshot a little bit, it's a little too high now. I'm gonna tune it down, then tune it back up. Bass is in tune. A couple ways I could double check if I wanted. Just barring your finger across the harmonics, you get that nice fourth. Sounds pretty cool. And if you are pretty used to what a perfect fourth sounds like, then that will ring out nicely. Another way is you can play a perfect fifth by putting your third finger on an octave harmonic on the lower string. You can hear that. Kind of sounds like an open strings of the cello. Tuning fifths. My A sounds a little sharp there. Alright, that sounds a bit better. Alright, so I'm pretty confident my strings are nicely in tune, ready to play. A little bit of information about turning the pegs. So just the way the strings work is, and when you turn your string more sharp, which is tightening the tension of the string, that works a little bit more. That your string's probably going to stay better in tune if you had to tune it up into pitch rather than tuning it down, because if you're tuning it down, you're loosening tension in the string, which means that there could be some slack in the string tension that falls out as you're playing. So your string actually go flat as you're playing if you had to tune it down into pitch, or more flat into pitch. So if you realize you go sharp, sometimes it's a good idea just to purposely tune your string a little flat so that you can turn it back up. That's why you saw me kind of sometimes pulling out extra slack. I knew I had to turn it down, and so I just pull out the slack ahead of time by a small little tug, just so I know that it's gonna stay in tune when I start playing. So that's how I approach tuning my bass.